This is the story of a seemingly destined yet unconventional couple, Kaoru and Shiki, after their marriage. The couple spontaneously got married, and on the first day of their honeymoon, they disliked the bustle outside, but wanted to see each other in swimwear. Kaoru quickly changed into her swimsuit, and soon after, they enjoyed tandem activities. Shiki, the husband, is 2 years younger than Kaoru and is an anime enthusiast. However, Kaoru does not share this interest. Shiki often calls his favorite anime characters his wives, and is also an online content creator who firmly believes in avoiding a corporate slave life. Moreover, he is a follower of the great Daruyin temple style. Convincing a homebody like Shiki to go out isn't too hard. A cute gesture is usually enough. Ultimately, their dates usually end up with them playing games in tandem. Not long after their marriage, Shiki's younger brother Yoda came to visit. Despite being a boy, Yoda is so cute that he's nicknamed Didi. He is also a manga artist who often creates comics based on himself and his brother. When Yoda learned that his sister-in-law Kaoru wasn't into anime, he was devastated. Since it was late, Kaoru wanted to let Yoda stay over, but she caught him trying to get too close to Shiki. The couple promptly kicked him out. Later, Kaoru saw the male-oriented comics Didi had drawn. Shiki was mortified because Yoda always depicted him as the submissive character in these stories. And he had made 30 volumes, each with at least 1,000 copies that sold out at a summer comic convention. In response, Kaoru playfully tackled Shiki. The couple has a good relationship. Even Kaoru's best friend remarks on how well they get along despite one being a geek and the other more mainstream. Yoda is actually a college student and has joined the university's anime club. However, he cannot create the type of comics he likes there. Shiki criticizes clubs that restrict creativity as worthless, but he also warns that leaving the club could mean losing friends, speaking from his own experience. Yoda insists he still has friends, to which Kaoru retorts by calling them online friends, effectively delivering a double blow. But now that Shiki has a wife, Yoda decides to ramp up his efforts against Shiki, only to be kicked out by the couple again. To help Yoda make friends, Shiki takes him to an offline meetup of online friends and introduces him to a friend named Miki. Miki does not realize Yoda is a boy. She herself is a master of cross-dressing. She's interested in forming a Yuri relationship, and Shiki has given his approval, not knowing that he has already set her up for an unexpected revelation. Shiki paused his blogging work, planning to return to being a spectator, and also to look for a real job. Kaoru was deeply moved, as she wouldn't have to awkwardly avert her gaze when neighbors asked what her husband did for a living. However, Shiki's job interview was a disaster. On reviewing his resume, they found he had used an online avatar as his photo, which likely led to his rejection. Soon after, Shiki received a call from Miki, who used coarse language as she had discovered Yoda's true gender. To apologize, Shiki offered to work for Miki as compensation. Miki suggested Shiki should take this chance to reintegrate into society, but Shiki was not interested. Miki then thought about introducing him to a job he could do from home and urged him to cherish his married life. Eventually, Shiki became a web designer. Kaoru didn't care about how others viewed Shiki. Knowing he was good was enough for her. She mused, "Damn, spouses should just enter the tomb of marriage." Kaoru realized that she behaves poorly when drunk, though she never used to mess up the house. Suddenly, Shiki mentioned that Kaoru becomes frightening when drunk, talking non-stop and once even pinned him down after coming home from work. Not believing this, Kaoru agreed that next time she got drunk, Shiki would take photos to prove it, hoping this would encourage her to quit drinking. The next day, they went to a pub and ended up visiting 4 different pubs. Drunk, Kaoru started playing rock, paper, scissors with Shiki, removed her jacket when she lost, and then professed her love wildly. Just as Shiki was responding that he loved her too, things escalated physically. That day, Kaoru collapsed at the door upon returning home. A friend checked on her and advised her to quit smoking. Kaoru was distressed, but did not want to worry Shiki. To reduce her stress from smoking, Shiki decisively took on a new job offered by Miki, who cautioned him not to overwork himself. Meanwhile, Kaoru decided to temporarily stop drinking and playing games. Shiki felt he had not taken good care of her and went to apologize to her father. He wondered if the stylish older man was her father, commenting on his enduring charm. Although her father was angry, he didn't lash out, knowing his daughter would be upset. Upon returning, Shiki took great care of Kaoru, but she disliked his unfamiliar behavior and ended up crying in his arms. The idea of giving up drinking, smoking, and gaming seemed like too much for her. However, a doctor friend advised her that she must quit gaming until after the baby is born. Shocked, she exclaimed, "Pregnant?" Kaoru is not good at cooking, and Shiki handles all the cooking at home. She sometimes tries to make tasty meals but usually fails. So Kaoru decided to ask her father, who is a chef, for cooking lessons. Shiki felt a bit disappointed, joking that his wife not being able to cook was actually cute, which almost got him in trouble with his father-in-law. Meanwhile, Yoda made a bento for Mickey, who initially wanted to refuse but couldn't after seeing Yoda about to cry, so she reluctantly accepted it. Kaoru's father told her that her mother also couldn't cook initially, and only learned secretly to take care of her. However, since he was a better cook, he mostly prepared the meals. Seeing his daughter trying to learn cooking for Shiki really moved him, and eventually Kaoru managed to make some delicious food, which made Shiki very happy. Relatives called Kaoru asking her to look after a little girl. Kaoru told Shiki to hide in the room to avoid scaring the girl. The girl, named Ai, dislikes stiff clothes, so Shiki gave her an adult shirt to wear. Ai loves playing golf, and her mother is a professional golfer. Typically, her parents take her to the golf course. Her mother is a professional golfer, and her father works as her caddy. They plan to retire after a professional tournament to care for their daughter. Shiki and Kaoru played with Ai for a long time, giving her a rare experience of family affection. When leaving, Ai thanked them, and the couple was deeply touched. Yoda visited the couple again, wanting to know about their first meeting to use it as material for his manga. Indeed, he planned to create a story where he gender swaps Kaoru and has her make a move on Shiki. Kaoru recalled when she and Shiki first started dating, at a time when she hadn't expected to be in a relationship. She suggested they go on a date, and Shiki, nervous, even consulted Yoda. Yoda initially thought his brother was going to take a cardboard cutout on the date until he realized they were actually dating. Kaoru told her father she was going on a date at noon, prompting him to pull out a stun gun and a handgun, asking which she'd like to take or if he should accompany her. Kaoru stopped him from coming along. Their first date wasn't very smooth, mainly because Shiki, being a geek, didn't know what to do on a typical date. They ended up walking and discussing their future ideas. Kaoru realized Shiki had no solid plans for the future, which seemed quite bleak to her. However, Shiki's genuine smile during the date made it enjoyable for both. Midway through, Shiki suddenly remembered he hadn't properly confessed his feelings to Kaoru and quickly did so. After hearing all this, Yoda decided to drop the idea for his manga. Shiki's mother burst into the room, always pleased that her son never went through a rebellious phase. In reality, Shiki simply couldn't defy her because he knew he couldn't win against her. She came wanting to have grandchildren. Shiki suggested she should go to Yoda instead, but his mother dismissed the idea, saying Yoda was too gentle. Once she left, Shiki asked Kaoru if she wanted to have kids. Kaoru said having children required a lot of consideration, and Shiki hadn't really thought about it. However, if they were seriously considering it, Kaoru knew she needed to quit smoking first. Kaoru then asked her friend Reno if she and her partner had considered having children. Reno's partner joked that he was nearly becoming Reno's mom, suggesting they put off the child discussion. Meanwhile, Shiki and Kaoru were still debating on names for a child. Shiki suggested Rei for a girl and Shinji for a boy. Kaoru felt they needed to think it over more. And then she received a call from her mother-in-law, who admitted she had been too excited and that the decision to have children should be left to Shiki and Kaoru. Meanwhile, Shiki was already considering having a daughter, which made Kaoru suspicious of his sudden keenness, deciding it was best to postpone the discussion on children for now. Before getting married, Kaoru had always worked alone, constantly telling herself that living alone was fine. Despite the monotonous daily grind, she reassured herself that everything would be okay after each day passed. To others, she appeared to go with the flow, unshakable by anything. However, Kaoru was not good at communicating with clients and only started smoking and drinking after being transferred to a new department. During that time, Kaoru was living a listless life until a friend called to announce her wedding. Kaoru attended the wedding, feeling happy for her friend, but anxious about her own future. Alone in her empty room, she had always thought she would end up alone. One night, she fell off the bed, finding Shiki sleeping soundly beside her. Initially, it was Kaoru who had confessed her feelings in a cafe, and Shiki had decisively responded. They came together, proving that humans are indeed social animals. In their first year of marriage, Shiki was thrilled because this Christmas he wouldn't be single anymore. He had planned a joyful Christmas with his wife, but then found out she had to work. So, Shiki quickly turned to his friend Jisei for company. Jisei and his partner Rino kindly let Shiki hang out at their place, but insisted he leave by 9 p.m. as it was a busy time for gaming. Thinking it over, Shiki decided to invite another friend, a doctor, who brought along her husband, Yamada. It was then that Shiki discovered Yamada's long hair was actually a wig. While having fun, Shiki felt uneasy about partying while his wife was at work. He decided to leave early and bring a cake home for Kaoru. He left with the doctor and her husband, who displayed their affection for each other so much that Shiki felt overwhelmed. Later, Shiki and Kaoru met on the street with the cake in hand. Shiki tried to persuade Kaoru to join him in gaming at home, but she told him she had work the next day, so his plan for a gaming night fell through. Shiki noticed that Kaoru came home early today and mentioned she felt unwell. He quickly had her lie down in bed. After checking, she didn't have a fever, but felt nauseous and tired, though her mood had been good lately. Shiki was alarmed, wondering if this could be the morning sickness associated with pregnancy. Although he had anticipated this might happen someday, he didn't expect it so soon. At the store, just as he picked up the pregnancy test, he ran into Mickey. Shiki's hand trembled, and now Mickey knew. In the next moment, friends and relatives surrounded him with congratulations, teasing him to stop with the Evangelion references. Shiki was surprised at how quickly the rumors spread. His friends comforted him, reminding him that the doctor was still there. Shiki felt it was a bit surreal, wondering if it could all be just a dream. He and Kaoru then took the test together, both thinking it might just be a fluke. But the next second, a red line appeared on the pregnancy test. Truly, it was a moment of silent tears for both. Congratulations were in order as it meant they could now plan for maternity leave. Shiki works as a web designer and now earns enough to support their living expenses. Kaoru discovered that Shiki actually earns more than she does. Shiki asked if Kaoru wanted to quit her job, but she refused. So Shiki decided to take her out for a meal. Kaoru mentioned a ramen shop she visited in high school that had great food, but she couldn't remember its name. Shiki speculated that the shop's owner might be a top-level chef. Eventually, they drove to her high school and quickly located the ramen shop. Conquered by the taste of the ramen, Kaoru and Shiki walked around the school after eating. The area had changed a lot due to demolition, but marks on a wall were still there. Kaoru explained that they were left by a senior who could break walls with bare hands, chop trees with a hand strike, and punch people into walls. Shiki joked, asking if the senior was some kind of Terminator. Finally, the couple walked home hand in hand, enjoying their time together. Later, Kaoru's senior unexpectedly met her and recommended that she and Shiki take a compatibility test, considering they would spend decades together. However, no matter how many times they tested, Kaoru found that their compatibility seemed poor, almost like a beautifully incompatible fate. Kaoru felt a bit disappointed. While Shiki was collecting clothes, she went to seek advice from her doctor friend, who was highly educated and reliable. The doctor jokingly warned them against showing off too much and told Kaoru that it's hard to feel happiness when you're in the midst of it, suggesting she should go home and experience it for herself. Just as Kaoru left, she found Shiki coming towards her with an umbrella. She told him about the compatibility tests. Shiki revealed he had looked into it before and initially cared about the results. But after Kaoru kissed him once, he forgot all about it. Dog food indeed. Shiki often buys figurines and millet for the home, which has started to invade the living room. Although he feels a bit guilty, he can't help but buy them. He also encourages Kaoru to develop some hobbies like bowling to cheer her up. Shiki invited some friends, and they went to a bowling alley. Regarding team formation, Mickey had to stick with Yoda as the other 6 were couples. The couples started bowling. Although Jisei was taking care of Rino, she is actually older than him. When Yamada heard about Shiki's situation, he advised him to occasionally restrain himself to avoid making Kaoru uncomfortable. At the end of the bowling event, Mickey's team, which scored the highest, won a prize, a voucher for a hot spring trip for 2. Mickey was dismayed. She didn't want to go with a cross-dresser. Yoda decided to switch from being a doujinshi artist to a commercial manga artist, setting his sights on shonen action manga. Shiki suggested he might be better off with a commercial BL manga route, but Yoda's initial submissions were rejected. The feedback was that his shonen manga was too intense for the current era, saying it could overwhelm the fangirls of today. Yoda decided to become an assistant to learn more, and it turned out Kaoru knew a manga artist who could offer him a job. However, this artist had a bit of an investigative quirk. After meeting Kaoru, the artist teased her about her high school vow to never marry, causing Kaoru to awkwardly look away. Soon after, they finalized the details of the assistant job. Yoda went back to drawing on his computer, and Shiki shared the news with Mickey. Mickey thought it was great that he found a job, noting his strong, direct presence. Soon, Yoda won an award for his work. However, after reading the manga, both Shiki and Kaoru found it hard to understand. Mickey suddenly asked Shiki if they should invite everyone to a hot spring. Shiki asked if they should include Yota, but noted that it might be awkward for them to be like a third wheel. To his surprise, Mickey insisted they all must come. Eventually, everyone went to the hot springs together. Mickey mentioned that the rooms weren't assigned yet, which made Yoda visibly excited, but she quickly corrected herself, saying men and women would sleep separately. Shiki joked that if Yoda ever created an online account and posted some photos, people would call him a goddess, commenting on how gender can be confusing. Meanwhile, Mickey never went into the hot springs and told Kaoru that her relationship with Shiki was the result of both of them working very hard and that they should cherish each other. On the other side, after soaking in the hot springs, the group of husbands started talking about sensitive topics related to their wives. For instance, Shiki once had a moment over Kaoru's clothing. In the wives' quarters, Reno brought up how they went to buy condoms at the supermarket, but because she looked too young, they were refused, and it was the doctor who had to help them out. Mickey suggested that they should meet up more often since meeting is always fateful. Yoda, embarrassed by the conversation, shyly covered his face. Shiki was curious about how Yisei and Reno met. Initially, Yisei thought Reno was a lost elementary school student, but after being punched by her, who was actually older, he realized she was indeed a legal loli. Reno's behavior often seemed childlike. At first, Yisei even wondered if he was more like her mother than a friend. Reno relied heavily on Yisei and wanted to repay him, believing that he had approached her first. Yisei denied this, but upon hearing that Reno hadn't completed her college credits, he offered to help her through the rest of her university life. That pretty much sounded like a confession. Reno thought they were already dating, considering how well Yisei treated her. And just like that, somehow they ended up in a relationship. Early one morning, Shiki packed his bags to attend a doujinshi convention. He wanted to invite Kaoru, but she was busy with work and not keen on attending. So, she asked Shiki to buy some items for her. However, as soon as Kaoru put on cat ears, Shiki gave in. Soon after, Shiki arrived at the convention and quickly found Mickey's booth, named Change Your Fate, which specialized in turning tragic endings into happy ones. Shiki immediately purchased some items from her. Afterwards, they explored the convention together and ran into Yoda, who was also running a booth. Yoda jokingly grabbed Mickey, leaving her shocked and accusing him of scheming. Meanwhile, Kaoru was at a gathering with friends playing Truth or Dare. She revealed her annual income of 3.5 million yen, while her two friends each made 10 million yen. One friend, a doctor, was earning well, and Reno, a handmade mask maker, could make 10 million yen from a single mask. The doctor was touched, thinking that marriage would reduce their meetings, but instead they met more often than before. Mickey also advised Shiki to spend more time with friends to quickly strengthen their relationships. During the summer, Kaoru helped set up a booth at a summer doujinshi convention and discovered that Yoda's works were very popular. Yoda, who hadn't had long hair before, knew his brother was a fan of anime and manga. Initially, he hadn't been interested in his brother's hobbies but wanted to maintain a good relationship with him as they were siblings. Because Yoda was very pretty, local kids teased him for being effeminate. It was his brother who stood up to protect him, and both brothers ended up getting beaten up. Wait, was Shiki that cool before? Since then, Yoda began to explore Shiki's interests and even created doujinshi featuring his brother. However, Yoda has now shifted his focus to Mickey, but he continues to create doujinshi. This revelation was quite a shock to Shiki. While the couple was organizing things at home, Shiki's mother suddenly called to ask when they would visit the family home. Kaoru decided they should go immediately, as she quite liked her mother-in-law. Shiki looked a bit panicked, knowing his mother could be tough on him, especially about finding a job. However, his mother was always pleasant to his wife, then would switch back to sternly dealing with Shiki. At that moment, Shiki's father came out and was surprised to see Kaoru. Although he had heard about Shiki's marriage, he thought it was a joke and was shocked to see they were actually married. Really? What do Shiki's parents think he is? The family time was joyful. Kaoru was happy, and Shiki even sent a red envelope to Yoda, who politely declined, saying he was already an adult. Seeing this, the other 3 adults quickly took back their red envelopes. One day, Kaoru's colleague suddenly told her that she suspected her husband was having an affair and had decided to divorce. She then asked Kaoru how things were with her own husband. Kaoru thought about how Shiki was always focused on fictional characters and wasn't sure whether to say he was cheating or not. Kind of like cheating, she pondered. Years ago, before Shiki had confessed his feelings, he and Kaoru were in a vague romantic phase. A junior at work developed a crush on Shiki but realized he liked Kaoru and they seemed to reciprocate each other's feelings. When Shiki jokingly asked the junior if she liked him, she said no. Shiki was devastated and started crying, which led Kaoru to mistakenly think he liked the junior and was crying over being rejected by her. In reality, Shiki didn't like the girl romantically. It was more about an idealization, similar to his feelings for fictional characters. His tears were more about the absurdity of his emotions. After Kaoru slapped him, he realized how genuinely he loved her. This misunderstanding became material for the junior's novel, which eventually won an award. Returning to the topic, it was previously mentioned that Kaoru might be pregnant. The couple discussed what to do next. Shiki suggested a full medical checkup at the hospital, contacting his company for maternity leave, and then jokingly said he would find a qualified father to take care of her. Kaoru teased that Shiki's brain might not be working well due to the excitement. Kaoru also didn't plan to quit her job or take maternity leave just yet, as it was only 2 months into the pregnancy and she enjoyed her work. Shiki was particularly concerned about Kaoru's condition, so he often consulted a doctor for advice and seriously considered the responsibilities of being a father, feeling a heavy burden on his shoulders. Kaoru's colleagues were also very supportive, although she felt she wasn't that fragile. Her colleagues insisted it was about mutual care, saying she would do the same for them if they were pregnant. Kaoru had been working for 5 years and didn't want to give up her job because she wanted to feel needed. Shiki quickly noticed what worried Kaoru and always comforted her accurately when he came home. This understanding and support were why Kaoru loved Shiki. Every time Shiki wants to recommend a manga to Kaoru, he would quietly place it on the table. However, this time it was Yoda who put it there, mostly sports-themed shonen manga. Kaoru feels that to get along with Shiki, it's not necessary to deeply understand his hobbies. Mutual respect is sufficient. But now that they have a child, Kaoru wants to know more about Shiki's inner thoughts, yet worries that this desire might be too demanding. She shared her thoughts with a doctor friend, who said that wanting a relationship where both can openly share is indicative of feeling insecure about the current state of their relationship. Shiki is also changing his mindset, aiming to become a dependable husband. Previously, he was primarily focused on his affection for Kaoru and wanting to be liked by her. But transforming into someone who is sociable and perceptive about social cues is making him quite anxious. He worries that Kaoru might change her perception of him. Therefore, Shiki talked to Kaoru about wanting to become a dependable husband. Kaoru said that was a good idea. Shiki joked that he had said this before, and Kaoru had scolded him. The usually close couple had a rare argument, and even a doctor friend came over to mediate. The argument was over something simple, and it was its simplicity that made it hard for either to give in. It turns out Kaoru is expecting a girl, and the couple fiercely disagreed over choosing a name. The doctor felt stuck until their argument ended. To resolve the conflict, the couple involved their friends, turning the scene into a chaotic chat room. However, the doctor believed that a child born in such an environment would surely lead a happy life. In the end, everyone decided to contribute a name to a draw. Since all participants were trusted friends, any chosen name would be acceptable. The name Sayoko was drawn, a lovely choice for a girl. The family of 2 was becoming 3, bringing a slight unease, reminiscent of their pre-marriage days, but it wasn't unpleasant. Great, loving couples should always stay sweet together.